What's happening in middle America, though? We talk about the core a lot, and it's kind of interesting when you strip out, food and energy. That's the very thing that most people are paying more for.
Exactly. And while the numbers are better and you are showing inflation going down, this has been a difficult one to have stick for the current president. However, in this, you are also seeing wages going up a little bit. That's something that people will actually see, and they will see it right now. They'll really see inflation going down when they're paying a little bit less for things like gas, eggs, and milk. But this one, at least people are beginning to see some wage increase, Joe.
Okay, well, maybe they're seeing it, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's changing how they're answering pollsters when they ask them how they're feeling about the president and the economy. And a Reuters Ipsos poll that was released just this morning showed President Biden's approval at 40%. And the number one concern still is the economy. 21% of those who responded to this survey said that was their top concern. I was on Capitol Hill earlier today, and I asked Congressman Emanuel Cleaver, a Democrat from Missouri, about why he thought this disconnect existed. Here's what he told me.
It has nothing to do with progress. It has to do with polarization. There are people who probably have no idea about the rise and fall of inflation or anything else. All they know is that there's a man sitting in the White House whom they just can't stand.
So, Jack, does that track for you that even though the data may suggest one thing, people are set in their ways and in their opinions, and they just aren't going to agree the president's doing a good job?
Yeah, I mean, polarization plays into it for sure. It's also one thing to say you do not approve of the president. It can be a different thing to vote for a specific other candidate. You talk to Democrats, and they still feel pretty good about limiting their losses in the midterms. As you look forward to 2024, people can be kind of unimpressed with President Biden. A lot of people think he may not strike an impressive figure. There are concerns about his age. And then voters may pin that on an important issue like the economy, even if things are not necessarily disastrous. It can be very difficult to read those polls and understand exactly how it correlates or doesn't correlate to the economic facts of people's lives.
Well, are Republicans about to lose a talking point? This was supposed to be the winning message for Republicans: hang inflation around Joe Biden's neck. If this lag effect is real, by the time we're in the throes of campaign season, they might actually be at 2%.
They do not think they have lost a talking point. Even today, after the numbers came out, Mitch McConnell had a statement out criticizing the fact that it's still above the target rate of 2%. Yeah. You may hear Republicans criticize the fact that once inflation happens, there are questions of to what degree people's wages catch up. We're not deflating out of these now higher prices that people have to pay for things. But also, I can tell you it's raised frequently enough by Republicans on the Hill. So clearly they do not think that this has just gone away as a political strength for them.
Well, something else that has been raised quite frequently by Republicans is the idea that the Justice Department and the Federal Bureau of Investigation is being weaponized against former President Trump, perhaps protecting the current president, Joe Biden. Christopher Wray, the director of the FBI, was in the hot seat on Capitol Hill earlier today in front of the House Judiciary Committee and faced some tough questions from the likes of Congressman Matt Gaetz. Take a listen.
You seem deeply uncurious about it, don't you? Almost suspiciously uncurious. Are you protecting the Bidens?
Absolutely not. The FBI does not and has no interest in protecting anyone.
You won't answer the question about whether or not that's a shakedown.
So, Julie, clearly, especially the Republican members of this committee are very concerned with this issue. How much does that translate home to their constituents, this mistrust of the Justice Department?
Oh, this is going to be something you see on the campaign for some time. And I would imagine that Christopher Wray would have expected those type of questions today. The weaponization of the Justice Department is something that Republicans are continually saying on the campaign trail and will continue to say. The Democrats on the other side today, of course, using this to talk about former President Trump. So you will continue to see this throughout these type of hearings. Both sides of this, Democrats talking about the Justice Department in terms of former President Trump, Republicans saying that the Justice Department has now been weaponized. Continue to expect that.
It's important to get both sides of this, because you also talked to Jerry Nadler, who had a lot to say, the ranking member on the committee here. Speaking with Kailey a little bit earlier, listen to his reaction to this Christopher Wray testimony and grilling that took some time today.
I can't see the Republicans being crazy enough, the leadership of the Republican Party being crazy enough to do that. They're the party of law and order. They want to go publicly out to destroy the law. It's on their head.
So the idea of, defunding the FBI or taking Christopher Wray's paycheck away, what is it, Jack, about the allergy that many Republicans have for the top law enforcement agency in the country?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big enough issue. If I tried to list the issues that were brought up by Republicans in the House Judiciary Committee today, it's hard to even list off things about Hunter Biden, supposed targeting of parents with complaints about schools. It's a very long list. Yeah. It's the culture war politics that are very animating to Republicans. There's a bit of a divide in how they go at it. There are people like Jim Jordan who said they should work in government spending bills to go after the FBI. They should not fund the FBI headquarters. They should move it to Alabama. That has worked its way into some bills. They basically are looking to pause funding for FBI headquarters. But as bills move to the floor, you'll probably hear more rank and file enthusiastic members from the Republicans pushing for stronger and stronger measures against the FBI. Yeah. And it ties into so many issues it's hard to even sum up. But a lot of the culture war stuff has started to work its way into Republican legislation.